I guess this is where I'm a newbie, so I kind of want to know if I were to start today, let's say training to become a triathlete, how does one begin to do that? Because from the outside looking in, these numbers that you're putting up, the swim, the run, the bike, they seem so inhuman, but obviously over time they can be achieved. So how do you go from nothing to building into that?
That's the most common question we all ask. I think, people say, how do I do a triathlon? I always say, look, the best bet is to enter one. Like, that's the best piece of bait you can ever give anyone. Enter a race, even if you've done no training. To get into them, you're looking at 6 months a lot of the time, 8 months minimum, right? And that gives you an accountability to yourself to do the work, right? Because there's no joke. It's not as hard as the distances make out. You never have to do those distances in training, but you need to get the aerobic conditioning and the fitness base to be able to survive those distances. Like, it's
interesting.
If you're doing a sprint race, you don't need to swim 750 meters without stopping before doing a 750-meter swim. You can do different variations of that during the week, but the consistency of that is what matters. So I always say to people, enter a race, and then
is that like a benchmark? Like the first race is the benchmark to see kind of where you're at?
Yeah. And I always say the minimum you can do in training is, say, twice the volume. And this is the absolute minimum, twice the volume per week of the distance you're doing. So if you're going to do an Olympic distance, you want to do 80 kilometers minimum a week of riding, which is nothing.
Yeah.
You want to do 3 kilometers a week of swimming, and you want to do 20 kilometers a week of running. You will get through an Olympic distance race quite comfortably doing that. Now, if you can start to get 3 or 4 times the distance, you start to get very, very easy. Now, it doesn't always correlate to Ironman. It's different, but in those beginning distances, and then when you break that out over 7 days, it's not a lot of work. It's one session a day. You may run one day, swim the next, bike the next.
It's the average workout for, a person.
The average workout, average workout. And then it's just, as I said, once you have that goal and you start to roll out some consistency across those 3 different sports, you'll find that way of working out pretty enjoyable. And I always found the different groups of people that exist across those 3 sports are very entertaining. There's some wonderful people, great swim squads you can join, and you make some great friends. There's great bike groups you can join and run groups. Yeah, so
there isn't that much in Canada, to be honest with you. This run group thing is more of a European or more of an Australian, because there isn't that much here from what I've noticed.
Okay, not even gyms or.
I mean, first of all, it's tough here because 6 months of the year it's unbearably cold, so no one's outside.
Yeah.
And then when it's warm out, it feels like people are like, well, why the hell would I be running in the heat when I can go to the beach for the first time? Yeah. So I don't know, it's tough. But okay, so let's say I've started training, I've got my distances down. How much time do you spend focusing on nutrition, on getting your vitals right?
Yeah, it's all dependent upon the objective you have, right? If your objective is to have a good time and finish, then you made a decision to be active to improve your life, right? So, when I say how much time was I focusing on nutrition, not a lot, to be honest.
Really?
I did triathlon because I'm a foodie at heart, so I was able to eat anything I wanted. But I was when I was in the race, when I moved up in distances, when I started doing Ironmans, and then nutrition becomes basically the 4th discipline. How do you fuel yourself long periods of time? But for most of you guys that are doing a sprint distance or an Olympic distance, a gel and a drink and a hydration is key. And a couple of gels are fine. It's not really something you focus on. But you just try and eat a pretty balanced diet. That's the great thing about once you work out, you're able to. Training and working out forgives all the mistakes you make. Like,
I can go get a pizza on the weekend or whatever.
That cancels the pizza out.
Right.
Beauty. It's when you're not training that you think, that's the 3rd pizza this week. And that's how I'm at the moment in quarantine. I'm like, oh my God, all I'm doing is eating and not working out.
After I go for a swim, the pizza just tastes better. I don't know. I feel like.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, exactly. We've earned it.
Yeah,
you've earned it.
Yeah, I'm really I was always interested in the earlier days of these things, how much you learn from, okay, my body needs this much rest, as opposed to training every day or every week, and always kind of testing, like you said, the 4th discipline, always testing where you're at without overdoing it, trying to get better, but also not trying to detriment yourself. Seems like there's a lot there.
There's a lot there, but it's a great personal journey. You've tapped into something. But I learned more about myself through this sport, both as both cerebrally, how I react to duress and stress, how I can decompartmentalize things that I've carried into the business world without question. Triathlon was the greatest educator of me ever, or not so much triathlon, the element of competitive sport within the framework of triathlon was remarkable. Even though it was very individual, there's a team I had around me that were a big part of that journey. And then understanding what I was learning about myself on the way, right? Exactly that. When can I work under fatigue? How do I work under stress? How do I
A mental and physical education, because
Yeah,
you're learning
mental
your
and physical.
body, where your body
Yeah.
can go, and you're learning where your mind can go, right?
Yeah, and you build a lot of confidence out of that. We're our own biggest critics, right? So when you start achieving things personally, like and personal achievement, you value a lot more. When you put a
Sure.
goal out and do it, you go back in your room, you're like, you feel good about yourself.
For sure, of course.
Those sort of things, you take a lot from as a person, and I think you build a resiliency and a strength that is transferable across multiple things. And I without question, yeah, I say to my dad, university was important. I learned the fundamentals of education, but what I learned on the life of as a professional athlete and being involved in a lot of the commercial side as well as the training and physical side, I said it empowered me to be a better person, without question, a better father, a better everything. I'm able to. I know who I am, and I'm comfortable with that.
It's that quote, right? If you can master one thing, you can master them all, right? Or something
Yeah, yeah.
along those lines.